Now let's quickly look at the covenant of open doors. God created life with doors and gates. How do I know? 1 Corinthians 16 verse 9. A great and effectual door is open unto you. That's God speaking. Because He knows He made life with gates and doors. You need to understand that, appreciate it, and live by it. What are doors? Doors are devices to control the access. Doors are devices to control access to a place, a thing of interest. A place or a thing of interest. If you keep a thing in the open, any Jack and Harry can touch it. Am I right? Hello, church? If you keep a thing in the open, any Jack and Harry can touch it. When you want to resist or control access to that thing, you put it behind the door. And then you lock the door. When you don't want people to touch it. When you don't want people to get at it. And when you want any individual to get at it, you open the door or you give the key to the door to somebody, to the person. So doors are devices to control. God made life, created life with doors to resist, to restrict, to control access. So that the devil cannot just be batching on you. So that the devil cannot just be having his way in your life. So that the devil cannot just be going in and out anyhow in your life and destiny and be manipulating you anyhow. He did that intentionally. I run through 7 PowerPoints that will give you full possession of the doors of life. Number 1 factor of force is be born again. Revelation 3 verse 7 to 8. I, Jesus, have the key of David. And by those keys, I open the door and no man can shut. And I shut a door no man can open. Jesus has all the keys. When a man becomes truly born again, that Jesus steps into his life with the keys. So to take possession of the keys of life, Jesus must truly step into the life of man. I'm not talking about carrying a title in church. That you are carrying a title and you are not showing the life of Christ doesn't mean means that you don't have Christ in you. I'm not talking about being active in church. I'm talking about being born again. I'm not talking about having prophets that pray for you and belonging to a good church where they pray for you and things work. I'm talking about you know you have Christ and Christ knows that He's in your life. And the devil knows that you are a child of God. When that happens, you are set to have the doors open. You won't need to act. Commit to grow in spiritual understanding. Commit to grow in spiritual understanding. Matthew 13 verse 28. Matthew 13:23, please. Matthew 13:23. Spiritual understanding is what is called revelation. When your eyes open to scriptures, just as we discussed in the first part of the message. When your eyes open to scripture, when you can see what God is saying, every time that happens, a key has been landed in your hand. The key to that aspect of life has been landed in your life. You know, Papa went on a journey, reading 2 books of Kenneth Copeland and the wife, Gloria Copeland. And then while he was reading, he saw what God said in His word on financial prosperity. And then he rose up and spin and shouted, I cannot be poor again. He got the key of financial prosperity. So you want the doors to open, you must be a searcher of knowledge. You must be a researcher, a spiritual researcher. Researching for things. Searching for things you don't know. Searching for things that is dark with you. You must be a man of books. A man of books. I will know where you are going when I see the way you give yourself to study and reading. Many in church needs to have this culture of reading reactivated in them. If you are not, what do we do? Commit to be led by the Holy Spirit. Psalm 23 verse 1 to 6. When we follow the path the Holy Ghost leads us, we have the guarantee of God's presence. Psalm 21 verse 1. Psalm 23 verse 1, please. 23 verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Verse 4 says, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Why? Because God is with me. When we follow his leading, we are sure of his presence. And God's presence is the key that opens all doors. Psalm 24 verse 7. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lift up ye everlasting doors. Why? The King of glory is here. When you secure his presence, every door will open. And his presence is sure when you follow the path he led you. Number four, commit to grow in the love of God. Commit to grow in the love of God. Ephesians 3 verse 17. That you being grounded and rooted in the love of Christ. And then in verse 19, you will be filled with all his fullness. Ephesians 3, 17 and 19. When you are grounded in the love of God, verse 19 of Ephesians 3 says, you will be filled with all the fullness of God. And don't forget, when you have God filling you, or you have divine presence, every door will open to you. So the love of God, praise as lifestyle. Commit to praise as lifestyle. Acts chapter 16, verse 25 to 26. They sang praises in the midnight, and the prisoners had them, and then God came down. And all doors were open. Acts 16, verse 25, verse 26. Praise is another factor that will secure God's presence. Every time you engage in true praise, God comes down. And when God comes down, doors will open. So Paul and Silas, they were locked up in the prison, in maximum prison. The gates were shut. They were held in fetters and stocks. And they engaged in praise. And as the praise came alive, God came down. And as God came down, all doors opened. Hear me now. Before this service is over, every door will open to you. Number 6, commit to serving God. Commit to serving God and the interest of his kingdom. Matthew 6:3. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. That means all doors shall open. All doors shall open. Number 7, engage the power of the Holy Ghost. Engage the power of the Holy Ghost. The Holy Ghost came down on Jesus and just returned in the power of the Spirit. Luke 4:14. And then from that day, no door could shut against him again in life. Luke 4:14. And Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit, and his fame went abroad. His fame went abroad. All doors flung open. From that moment, Jesus became a one-man squad. Nobody could hold him down. The Holy Ghost came down on the apostles on the day of Pentecost. They were in the upper room, locked up for fear. But when the Holy Ghost came down, the doors of the upper room and the entire of Jerusalem flung open. The whole of Jerusalem gathered to the upper room. Eruption. Jerusalem had a population of 200,000 as at that time. The Bible said the church grew to 100,000. Half of the city. Rise up on your feet. I decree this morning. Every door of your life, every gate in your destiny that the enemy has taken possession of, I decree their grip over that door and gate is broken now in the name of Jesus. Let me hear a believing amen.